Do you ever wish you could read the minds of your clients? Seriously, what they want never seems to be the same from one day to the next. Today, we're going to kind of get over that hurdle by introducing the 3 annual meetings that you must have with every client. Let's get into it. Well, hey, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Dustin Pead, creative coach and consultant. I'm here to help creatives know themselves, their process, and their team so that they can create greater things together. I do that here on this podcast every single week, also on a newsletter every Sunday, and a blog post that also gets posted on my website and mailed out via the emails every single Tuesday. You can follow me on social media at Dustin Pead, P-E-A-D, or you can download any of my free resources at dustinpead.com/resources, which I have a very special one I want to tell you about at the end of today's episode. I'm so glad that you're here listening or watching. If you are watching on YouTube, we would love for you to hit the thumbs up button. That's the like, subscribe, and ring the bell, 3-in-1 action. That way you're notified every time new content just like this drops every single week. If you're listening on an audio podcast platform, I would super appreciate a 5-star rating or review, whatever your platform allows. That really just helps to get this content out further to those like you who can benefit from it. And while you're thinking of those that can benefit from it, why not just share this episode with someone who you know may need to hear it today? I'm so glad that you're with me today. Let's dive right into today's episode, the 3 annual meetings that you must have with each client. Now, I'm about a couple years into this journey of coaching and consulting. And as many of you know, I spent about 11 years of my professional life in the Indianapolis, Indiana area. So naturally, a lot of my relationships and connections are in the Indianapolis area. And so many of my clients that I get to work with today are in Indianapolis. And so as the year 2024 was wrapping up, I kind of had a conversation with my wife that I felt this prompting that I really need to get up to Indianapolis to get some in-person FaceTime with my clients to start the year. And that got me thinking, and there's really, I think, 3 really big, important annual, what I would urge to be face-to-face meetings with your clients. Because we all hop on Zoom calls. I'm on calls with my clients every day of the week and helping them strategize and work through things and building things with them to help their creative process much smoother. But at the end of the day, there's nothing like sitting across the table from somebody and kind of hearing the pain and strain and seeing it in their voice and feeling that vibe from across the table. And so I thought it was super important. And so I told myself at the end of 2024 and talked it over with my wife, Sarah, that, hey, I'd really like to get up there, I think about 3 times this year to get some FaceTime with the bulk of my clients who are up there. And so just a week or so ago, I went up there and spent a week and spent intentionally a good half day with each of my clients that are there because I wanted to set things off right. And so that's the first annual meeting that I'm going to suggest that you have with every client. We know the frustration of trying to read our clients' minds and that their priorities constantly change, right? Our clients are visionaries that we work with. They have lots of great ideas. They have a specific vision of what they want to see, but they also can suffer from shiny object syndrome, where every time a new TikTok comes out, or a YouTube video or a reel or something blows up on the internet, they go, that's what we need to be doing. And they want to shift focus over to there instead. And all your projects blow up. What I've found is that nothing can increase a working relationship and that trust factor like time, including real FaceTime, not just digital FaceTime, but in person. Let them get to see you as a person. You get to know them as real people. And so this first gathering, this first annual meeting that I think you need to have with every one of your client is a top of the year vision casting meeting. Now, what I did for this particular meeting, because I use a lot of stuff from the EOS, which is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's a book, Traction. I think it's Bill Wickman, if I'm thinking right. Wickman is his last name. Gene Wickman? I don't remember. Either way, Traction is a great book, and it kind of walks you through this whole entrepreneurial operating system. A lot of my clients are familiar with it. Some of them aren't familiar with it, but a part of what they have in there is this document called a Vision Traction Organizer. And it basically walks you through, hey, what are your core values? What's your core focus? What's your 1-year plan, your 3-year target, your 10-year picture, all these types of things, right? So that you can, your marketing strategy, your unique voice, what are you uniquely contributing to your clients that no one else is? And I asked some really great questions. And I think really asking really great questions not only helps you understand your client more, but it helps your client understand themselves more. And when everybody is understanding each other more, we can create some really great things together. And so what I did is I sat down with my clients and I pulled open the Vision Traction Organizer and I said, let's just ask these questions. Let's just walk through what this looks like for you, what your focus, what your hopes and dreams are for the year, for the next 3 years. Let's go big and dream for the next 10 years so that we know where we're heading. Oftentimes, when our clients get busy and they don't respond to texts or emails or Slacks or whatever the communication is because they have their own stuff going on as well, then we can kind of go, well, I didn't really have any vision for this project, and so I wasn't quite sure what to do, and thus we don't hit the mark of what our clients want. But when we do this, we can go, I may not be able to get a hold of them right now, but I do have a document that is basically their heart and their brain poured out over 2 pages, 3 pages about what they see for their business for this year, for their art for this year, for their creations for this year, whatever it is. I see that, right? I see that. So it's an opportunity for us to kind of go, okay, I have my client's whole vision right here on a 3-page PDF without having to constantly nag them all the time about where are we going. And when they start to veer off of that, if you have the relationship with them, then you can remind them, hey, this is what we said at the beginning. Is this still what you want? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, yep, you're right. We need to stick to what we said at the beginning, not veer off. Let's stick to the plan, stick to the plan. So you can go back at it and it ends up being a whole lot less frustrating. So the first annual meeting that you need to have, I would say sometime in the first quarter of the year. I did mine here in late January. But have a top of the year vision casting meeting. What goals do they have for the year? How can you help accomplish those with your art? Second meeting that you need to have every year. One of the most frustrating times in client work is the summertime because everybody goes on vacations and they never line up with each other. Person A is on vacation week 1, while person B is on vacation week 2, person C is on vacation week 3, and so on and so on. And so it's really difficult to get any kind of traction or maintain momentum during the summer. So this summer, I'm going to go back to Indianapolis. I'm going to go back to where my other clients are at as well. And I'm going to spend a good half day with them in what I call a summer momentum meeting. Now, this needs to happen before vacations start, which is typically Q2, like late Q2 is when we see a lot of people going on vacation, kind of a Memorial Day on. So I know for me, that week leading up to Memorial Day, that's when I'm going to go sit down with my clients and I'm going to say, look, here's what we've done so far this year. Let's keep the momentum going. What are our plans for the summer to keep that momentum going? You can talk about communication expectations. You can talk about deliverable expectations, all those types of things. Having that up front will save you time, frustration, and money all throughout the summer months. So number 1, top of the year vision casting meeting in quarter 1. Meeting number 2 that you need to have is summer momentum sometime in Q2 before vacation. I would say before Memorial Day. And then the last meeting you need to have, if you're only going to have 3 meetings with your clients this year, these are the 3. The last one is what I call the finish strong meeting. Now you might be thinking, oh, that must be in December or that must be in quarter 4. I would say if you wait until then it's too late to finish strong. You've already finished. So for me, a good finish strong meeting takes place in the fall, probably middle of Q3, end of August, beginning of September, somewhere in that region, right? Where we can really kind of dive in and say, hey, we're getting ready to kind of hit our last sprint of the year. It's right on the other side of the summer momentum that you just came through. Let's spin that momentum wheel one more time and finish the year strong with what we started, with what we said back in our first meeting. Let's keep that stuff going. We kept it going all summer long. Now let's finish the year strong. If there's any navigational changes that need to happen, you can make it right then and there. But then now we're going to go finish the year with the goals that we set out in our first meeting of the year. So the 3 annual meetings that you got to have with every client, you got to have a top of the year vision casting meeting in the sometime in the first quarter, probably the earlier the better. You need to have a summer momentum meeting, which is before everybody goes on vacation. Probably needs to happen in Q2 before Memorial Day. So you got about 6-7 weeks there of Q2 that you can kind of squeeze that in at. And then finish strong meeting. That needs to happen somewhere in the middle of Q3, probably somewhere between middle or end of August, beginning of September, somewhere in that region would be a really good time to do that. Now, if you're like, how in the world do I go about planning all this? That sounds like a lot. I have a lot of clients. Listen, I want to offer you a free resource today that just might help you plan this out effectively. You're still going to have to communicate it to your clients. And if you need help with that, let me know. I'd be glad to help. But I have a free resource on my website, dustinpead.com/resources. You can download what I have on there. I call the 12-month outlook. And so on the left-hand side, it walks you through the 4D creative process, which I've talked about here on this podcast before. And really everything we do, including these meetings, you can use the 4D creative process, plan it out to the right side of the Outlook calendar so that you know what month do I need to be dreaming about this? What month do I need to be defining this? What month do I need to be developing this? And so on and so on. So download that free resource. If you need help on using it, there's a video that I walk through on my website there for you as well. But if you still need help, reach out to me. I would love to help you with that. So that's the episode for today. I cannot wait to talk to you next week on the podcast. We are gearing closer and closer to episode 100. I've got some great guests lined up. I can't wait to share with you some new things that I'm going to be rolling out. Episode 100 is just around the corner. But for now, have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you next week on the Creativity Made Easy podcast.